What is up, Tamers? Welcome back to Hero Games. It's your boy Red, coming to you with a first place sort of deck profile for WarGreymon X-Antibody. We took this to our store championships this past weekend. Performed very well, and man, it was a wild day. I'm going to tell you about it, how we kind of ended up in a three-way tie of sorts. But let's start with the deck profile. So we have finally changed up the eggs from the Draw Power Koromon to the new BT9 Koromon. While this Digimon has Agumon or Greymon in its name, on your turn gives plus 1000 DP. So our Omnimons don't get that DP boost, but let's be honest, do our Omnimons ever really need that DP boost? Probably not. And it's quite interesting that we finally get both Agumon and Greymon support at the same time. Usually it's Greymon and Omnimon, so that's pretty cool. We switched to this because with the WarGreymon OTK, we weren't swinging very often, and I want the extra 1000 DP to help clear those checks. We are still running the 4 copies of the promo Agumon. Agumon on play. Sorry, not on play. Agumon's inheritable on your turn, while this Digimon has Greymon in its name, plus 2000 DP. This is, of course, the best one to run because that way our level 6s will always have the 2000. Alternatively, we are running 3 copies of the ST7 Agumon. When attacking a player, this Digimon gets plus 2000 DP. So this will still trigger with the Omnimons, but also it will trigger with any Digimon swinging into security. Don't like this one as much because if we need to swing over a Digimon, we don't get that plus 2000. So this one's still the preferred one, this one being our backup, just like the previous builds. We've dropped our Searcher Agumon down to 2 copies. On play, reveal top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 Greymon and 1 Omnimon in their names to your hand and put the rest to the bottom. So best case scenario, we grab a Omnimon and a Greymon of some sort, or at least hopefully grab one of them. We don't mill things like 3 Tamers, for example, would be awful. This is getting paired up with our first X-Antibody card. We are running 3 copies of Omnimon X Antibody. So it can be played for 3 or Digivolve on top of a red egg for 0, just like normal, but then also Digivolve on top of Agumon for 0. His effect is both on play and on Digivolve. Reveal top 3 cards to the deck. Add a Greymon or an Omnimon to your hand, or the X-Antibody option card to your hand. And the X-Antibody option card to your hand. Return the rest to the bottom. So we'll get more into the option card when we get to in the profile, but there's a option card called X-Antibody. This will allow us to grab that as well as a piece. We only get to draw 1, though, with the Searcher. If you're lucky enough to get the cards here, you can play the Searcher for 3, evolve, do your search, evolve into Agumon X for 0, get the draw off the Digivolve first, and then do the when Digivolving search effects. You get 2 searches off of just 3 memory and an extra draw, which is really nice. We're running our 4 copies of Starter Deck 1 Greymon. This one's pretty straightforward. Evolve for 2, gives the inheritable security attack plus 1. We are going through all of that security. This will be paired up with 2 copies of BT5 Greymon. When Digivolving, this Digimon has Agumon in its stack, gain 1 memory. While this card has Omnimon or Greymon in its name, it gains plus 2000 DP to help keep them alive. This is our second go-to one if we don't get the security attack plus 1. Now, keep in mind that the memory gain does not work on Agumon X by himself. It has to be exactly the Digimon Agumon in the stack. So Agumon X Antibody by itself will not work. However, if you have Agumon evolve into Agumon X and then evolve into this Greymon, that will trigger the memory gain because it has to just be in the stack. It doesn't have to be directly on top. Coming out for our new level 4, we are playing 4 copies of Greymon X Antibody. So evolve for 2 on a level 3, or Digivolve for 0 on top of Greymon. The inheritable is while this Digimon has Greymon or Omnimon in its name. If an effect would delete it or return to hand or deck, we may remove 2 of the same level sources from the stack to prevent that from happening. So we want to have these ideally on top of a stack so we can get Agumon X, Greymon X, and then whatever goes on top. So we can remove 2 level 3s and these 2 level 4s in these instances to prevent that deletion from happening. we are running 3 copies of EX1 MetalGreymon. MetalGreymon, when attacking a player, delete a Digimon with 4000 DP or less. Its inheritable gives our Machine or Dragonkins Piercing. Since this is going to be a OTK deck, we want to make sure that blockers do not get in the way of us checking security. Not too many of them run blockers, but there is Alphamon builds out there. There is Dexdora that runs some retaliation blockers. You got Garurumon, of course, that's a blocker build, so being able to swing over targets is preferred. Pairing this up, we are running 2 copies of the new MetalGreymon Alterous mode. So this one works a little different than the old one. No longer evolves on top of any level 5 for 1 cost. Instead, it evolves on top of a level 4 for normal of a cost of 3. Or it can digivolve on top of MetalGreymon specifically for 0. This name of this card is also treated as just MetalGreymon. When digivolving, if you have a Tamer in play, delete a Digimon with 5000 DP or less, which is really wild for Red. Red has very few actually good deletion effects. Most of them are 4k or less, which doesn't get us very far. But now that we have 5k or less, we can actually stop popping some rival level 4s, which is really good if they move up too early. His inheritable is the same as Greymon X. If you have a Greymon or Omnimon, you can remove 2 sources of the same level to prevent effects from deleting it or removing it from play. We'll pair this up with 3 copies of MetalGreymon X. So evolve on top of a level 4 for 3, or we can digivolve on top of MetalGreymon for 0, just like the Alterous mode card. Now keep in mind that Alterous mode is also treated as a MetalGreymon, so we can triple stack that. We can put MetalGreymon, evolve to Alterous for 0, and then evolve into MetalGreymon X for 0. This combo does not work with the original Alterous because he is not treated as just regular MetalGreymon like this one is. When digivolving, this Digimon gains security attack +1, and then if this Digimon has MetalGreymon or X-Antibody in its sources, it gains plus 3000 DP, which is really good. Helps keep our WarGreymons alive, and we're getting through all that security. We're checking 5 security with a full combo. Still the best Greymon in the game, we are running 3 copies of BT1 WarGreymon. This is a card that refuses to go away. When digivolving, this Digimon gains security attack +1. Digivolves for 3 on top of a level 5. And then while this Digimon does not activate security skills on option cards, it checks in security, which is huge in this meta. Because when we go through that security, we want to make sure there is nothing that can stop us. No Chaos Degradation, no Kongu, no Kakaitis Breath, no Ultimate Flare, nothing. There is very few cards in the game that can still stop us. Option cards ain't one of them. Pair this up with 3 copies of WarGreymon X. WarGreymon X is digivolve for 4 on a level 5, or digivolve for 1 from WarGreymon. On all turns, when a card is removed from your security stack, you gain a memory. So for every security check we do, we're gaining a memory. So on the full combo, WarGreymon X is getting back 5 memory, which is pretty wild. End of attack, once per turn, if WarGreymon or X-Antibody is in this Digimon's devolution stack, delete a Digimon whose DP is equal to or less than this Digimon's DP. So WarGreymon is a great boss crusher being himself. With all the DP raises we run on this, we're swinging over 16k. We're probably popping anything on the field we want. This makes WarGreymon X essentially a Gaia Force in the form of a boss monster. You combine this with all the DP raises and the deletion protection that we add on, WarGreymon X is going to be a tank. To finish that off, after we check all 5 security, we'll want to end it off with Omnimon from BT5. When digivolve, unsuspend, and when digivolve blitz. All turns, if this Digimon would be deleted or removed from the field due to card effect to either hand or deck, we remove a level 6 underneath it to prevent that effect. So not only do we get Greymon protection that triggers with this, but we can also remove both WarGreymon and WarGreymon X independently if we're needing to evolve into him and not win. If we can't win that turn, we can evolve into him. Most decks don't have a way to remove him forcibly. Mastamon being the exception to that. We're pairing that up with 2 other level 7s, 1 of each. We are running Omnimon X-Antibody, so this may digivolve either on a level 6 for 6 memory, or may digivolve on top of a Omnimon for only 3 memory. When attacking, delete a Digimon whose DP is equal to or less than this. In opponent's turn, we may remove 2 sources to stop an attack. I run this for the off chance that whatever reason we're not winning this turn, I need to stall for one more turn. If we're going to be losing, Omnimon X can stop attacks, and with all the double stack into X-Antibody, we will be stopping multiple attacks with this guy, making them have to remove this Digimon to prevent us from wrecking stuff yet. And then we're combining this with 1 copy of the new Omnimon Merciful mode. So this can also Digivolve for 6 from any level 6, or it can Digivolve for 3 from anything with Omnimon in its name. When Digivolving, delete opponent's Digimon for each Mega in the stack, so we could potentially get up to 4 deletion. And then send 10 cards from the bottom. Put 10 cards from your opponent's trash to the bottom of the deck, so this counters Mastamon, this counters Beelstar, preventing them from getting those trash effects. And then if we send cards to the bottom of the deck after they've been deleted, they also don't get their on-deletion effects because they'll no longer be in trash. So this is a good way to counter a lot of those purple-yellow builds running out there right now. And then at the start of our next turn, we may de-Digivolve Omnimon back to whatever was underneath it and trash a top card security, just further helping clutch us out this game. For our support, we're running 3 copies of Tai Kamiya. He's our memory setter, setting our memory to 3. And then on our turn, all of our Digimon with 4 more Digivolution sources gain security attack +1, which is really easy to get up to. A Greymon can now be swinging for security +1 with the Tai, which is wild to think about. We're going to be pairing that up with 3 copies of Cool Boy. Cool Boy is on play for 2. Search top 3 cards of your deck, add a Digimon with X-Antibody in its traits, and a X-Antibody option card to our hand. And then if a Digimon digivolves into an X-Antibody with the same level, we may gain 1 memory and draw 1 card by suspending him. For option cards, we're running 2 copies of the new Gaia Force Zero. Gaia Force Zero, when you would use this card, if you have a Digimon with the X-Antibody option card in its Digivolution cards, you may reduce the cost by 2, making it a 6 cost Gaia Force. Main effect, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 13,000 DP or less, and then one of your Digimon with Greymon in its name may attack your opponent. Its security effect, delete 1 Digimon, which is fantastic. This makes it so insecurity, which is where we want it to be anyways, is just straight up a Gaia Force. If it's in hand while we're limited to 13,000 DP or less Digimon, it at least has the benefit of playing for 6 total, which, most Digimon don't have more than 13,000 with the exception of some level 7s. So Gaia Force will allow us to swing, not only delete a lot of things, but then we can swing with a Greymon as well. If we have the WarGreymon, for example, you play this for 6, WarGreymon X swings, gaining up to 5 memory. That really helps offset that cost. And then of course we're running the mentioned X-Antibody option card. So this thing does a few things. While you have a Digimon in play, you may use this card without meeting its color requirement. In security, gain 1 memory and add this card to your hand. Main effect, place this card under one of your Digimon without X-Antibody in its Digivolution cards as its bottom Digivolution card. Its inheritable is all turn. This effect cannot be trashed by your effects or your opponents, so Rib Blue Hybrid. And then when attacking, this Digimon can Digivolve into a Digimon card with X-Antibody in its traits from your hand, allowing us to get Digivolve while on attacking, so that way if we want to get into a bigger body, we don't have to evolve and try to keep turn as much. We can evolve that 5 into WarGreymon X as we're attacking, pass memory over, gain that memory back with this effect. So the name of this deck is pretty simple. We want to, of course, evolve our Koromon preferably into an Agumon with a DP raising inheritable. The best Greymon of choice is to evolve into Greymon with security attack +1, and then pair that up with a free evolve into a Greymon X-Antibody. If you have a Agumon X as well and you want to double up that stack, you can definitely evolve it in the middle there, adding just more inheritables for that Greymon X-Antibody to kick in with. We want to always be ending turn evolving, going into our MetalGreymon as soon as possible, putting it on our opponents to set us the memory next turn. Once we're at this stage here, if our opponents set us to 3 memory and we have the rest of our pieces in hand, we pretty much have game. If they don't set us to 3, we want to be able to support that by playing a Tai Kamiya or a Cool Boy. Both of these can allow us to get around here. Tai Kamiya, of course, set us to 3, and there's very little things our opponent can do to stop us from zooming, as well as it just helps with our win condition. If we have to, a Cool Boy can also get us there if our opponent puts us at 2. If we have 1 Cool Boy, or if we have 2 Cool Boys, then it will work from 1 memory as well. We want to move the MetalGreymon up, and if we want to pop anything out on the field, we can evolve into Alterous mode for 0 first to delete anything with 5,000 or less DP, perhaps that pesky Agumon on our opponent's side of the field. Then evolve either of our MetalGreymons into MetalGreymon X for 0. This will trigger his list of effects to give him Security Attack +1 and 3,000 DP until the end of our opponent's next turn. At this point, if we had Cool Boy out, we could tap him to gain a memory from that 0 evolve, which is even better. Then we want to go into BT1 WarGreymon. He'll gain another Security Attack +1. At this point, he checks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 security with a tie. You're playing against anything that doesn't have recovery. That's almost always game at that point. And with the DP getting effect, he gains to 12,000 from Koromon, 14,000 from Agumon, 17,000 from the MetalGreymon. So we're swinging 17k. There's not a single card in the game at this moment that will die to in that security check on a natural check. If for whatever reason we are not winning completely off this, or if we want to play around a few things, we can always have the option of evolving into WarGreymon X for 1. If we have the X-Antibody option card, we can do it while we're attacking, so having 0 memory after evolving to WarGreymon won't be an issue. We'll evolve into WarGreymon X for 1. He'll check 5 security, 4 to 5 security, gain back all of that memory. Which one I go into will depend on the matchup, because I do like the deletion power of the WarGreymon X. If I'm playing against a deck that I'm worried about the security, such as Mastamon or Beelstar, something with a lot of heavy deletion power in it, I will just stick with this WarGreymon X and ignore those option cards. If I'm playing against something like green or even another red, once I have a couple of these double stacks in here, I have enough deletion protection that I could go into this WarGreymon X, and the very few odds that I actually hit something like an enemy Gaia Force, I can just discard 2 inheritables and keep them alive. And I'd rather focus on that memory gain as well as deleting something on their side of the field after I'm done attacking. Now, whatever we're doing, we probably want to end it off with a Omnimon. If they're down to 0 security, we can Omnimon for Blitz and automatically win, or we can just leave them unsuspended and set us up for game next turn. Alternatively, we can evolve on either Omnimon or WarGreymon into Omnimon X if we want to stop them from winning next turn. If we have 0 security left, or they just have enough swings, such as against a Greymon build, we can end going to Omnimon X-Antibody, stop all our swings. They'll have to remove the Omnimon X first. Or we can go into Omnimon Merciful mode. If we're playing against a purple deck, we can delete a bunch of Digimon, then return all those cards from trash to the bottom of their deck. They'll have no plays, no way to play anything. And a really fun combo is that the X-Antibody, when Digivolving effect, is not once per turn. So we can evolve into WarGreymon, swing, activate its effect to evolve into WarGreymon X, do the checks, gain the memory. If we go back to 4, we can evolve into Omnimon for 4, and then swing, activate that effect again, and evolve that into a Omnimon X, all in one momentous swing, which is kind of wild to think about. Have I ever needed to do that? No, I haven't. It's really fun. I'll do it sometimes as a joke. But if at the point that we're doing all of this, we're probably winning anyways. Like, with how many security checking, this is really just overkill. As far as placements go, we played against green Grandis Kawagumon. That's just a matter of speed, who can get the checks off first, and if they hit a Gaia Force or not in security. We played against Garurumon, which is also kind of a race. They are also kind of an OTK kind of deck that doesn't worry about being deleted by battle. So that kind of just depends on who gets their pieces to set up first to swing over all of the game. We played against Gallantmon and Black WarGreymon X, and there's not too much that they have against this deck. Due to us checking all the security, they don't check very much. As long as we're seeing our pieces and not having to move out too much to try to draw extra, if we can just get to our level 5 in security and then get them to put us at 3 memory, then we can just go all right through security. We're not worried about Gaia Force. We're not worried about Megalo Blaster. We'll just go through it all and then Omni for game. The tough matchup here comes in more of the form of security control. While we do have a natural advantage in the WarGreymon not checking option cards, their recovery does put us at a thing. Once they are over 5 security, it becomes less likely to swing for game all in one swing. You're more reliant on more ties and then they just recover more and more. So we do have to make a couple stacks to swing over a bunch of security at once to be able to get through the game. Thankfully, they get through security at a slower rate there, so it just kind of depends on pieces lining up. As far as our placings went, we were winning all of our matches up until round 3. We played it against D Brigade, and as far as I got was here. No level 6s. Could not find a level 6 to save my life, and my opponent on every single, their D Brigade died on every single swing and then played another Commandramon for free. So he was having the best RNG and I was having the worst RNG. Just gonna get around it. Right before that, I had beaten a Gallantmon player. So I lost to D Brigade, but D Brigade lost to Security Control. Security Control lost to Gallantmon, and I beat the Gallantmon player. So the way that weird thing lined up, we all ended with the same amount of wins and losses. Due to the computer metrics, I believe it's based on, after that point, where everybody just has the same amount of wins and losses. I think it goes to metrics on how well your opponents did, and you know the little scoring system put them at like a tiny % higher than me. So Gallantmon took first place technically, and I took second technically, despite the same amount of wins and losses. A little bummed out about that. I really would have liked to invite, but championship season's not over yet. You never know. But thank you guys for checking out my video. This is my WarGreymon X-Antibody. As you guys know, WarGreymon is my favorite deck to play. Always happy to play each set. Hopefully we'll be able to do Black War pretty soon. I still haven't pulled really much for the Alphamon line, so I don't know if I'll get an Alphamon build to you guys before the set's over, but we'll see. And Machinedromon's coming soon. Thank you all for checking out my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more Digimon content. I started playing Digimon Survive, so if you're interested in checking it out, please check out my Digimon Survive videos as well. And I'll catch you guys next time.